Hi, my name is Nicole Matson, and I'm here again to teach you guys more about family life education. It's good to remember that family life education is not a counseling program, it's a program to help teach people more about families instead of counseling them how to solve their problems. You're teaching them new ways to do different things. So the great thing is that there's different teaching methods you can use to help these people apply things to their lives. You can do role-playing, games, object lessons. Object lessons are used a lot in church activities. They like to use object lessons, like, for instance, the jar lesson, where they put the big rocks in first, and then they fill up the jar until it gets full, and you realize that with that object lesson, it teaches you that if you do the most important things first, then you'll be able to do the other little things that you want to do or that you need to do. So that's one great way to help people learn new things is object lessons. So there's 3 different ways that I found are good to use to effectively teach. These 3 things are repetition, asking questions, and having the students apply what they learn. Often in church, they also do this. They ask you to apply these things to your life. So if they're teaching you about prayer, they want you to apply it, and they want you to try and pray and apply it daily. In a recent BYUI devotional, Elder Bednar talked about repetition and the importance of repetition and how we learn from repetition. So if you're a family life educator, it is important to repeat and repeat and repeat again the importance of the different skills and things that you are teaching the students in your class. It is very important that you give face-to-face instruction to those who are in your class. Face-to-face instruction makes it so that you are communicating with others. You don't want all online interaction, or else it's not as personable as it could be. Having it more personable, they learn more and are able to interact better with you and others. It's important that you have these students interact with those in the class as well. So you want to make sure that you're not just talking the entire time and lecturing, and that's why it's important to use these different teaching methods that I was talking about earlier. Those are important to get the class to interact with each other. It's also important to have the students tell their own stories about how they have seen different events in their own life that apply to your lesson. This helps them apply it to themselves, and they're teaching themselves as they tell the class. And often the class is more willing and they apply more to their life if a student is teaching them. It's important to remember that we have learners teach what they know. Like I was saying, professors often do this where they ask the students to tell them some stories or give insight. Asking questions is extremely important to do in these situations. So you want to make sure that you ask questions that are going to engage the audience. Often these are they start with which or when. So when you start a question with which or when, they will engage more people and they can give you better answers and more effective answers. This can also be applied in gospel learning. Gospel learning is completely important, and it does apply to family life education as you're teaching. Because as a teacher, if you are a member of the church or you're teaching this in a church setting, this is important that you have the Spirit with you as you teach, so that the Spirit is teaching the people and not just you. It's not just your own voice, but it's also the Spirit's voice. Teaching with the Spirit is important and very effective. It helps not only teach others, but it also teaches you. The Spirit testifies, reveals, guides, enlightens, comforts, and sanctifies. These are all very important things that need to happen as you teach. So, as you're teaching as well, you want to make sure you diversify, because there are going to be many different people in this program, and there needs to be diversity. There are probably very many different cultures, very many different religions, and you want to make sure that you apply these to all these different people, or else they won't be able to apply what you're teaching them. So, some other effective methods of teaching is the fishbowl method. The fishbowl method is a group discussion, and it helps facilitate the learning of empathy and understanding. And empathy is really important so people can notice that others are struggling the same way they are. Often these fishbowl groups, you have two groups with opposing views, and the educator will help guide the discussion. And so they can have a good discussion about whatever the topic is. Also, another one is buzz groups. This is several small groups in this larger group, and it lets the groups discuss amongst themselves for about 5 minutes, and then each member can contribute one idea. These can also be role-played scenarios. Like I mentioned before, role-played scenarios are important, and they can be used to help teach the class. Just make sure as you're teaching family life education programs that they're diversified, that you teach with the Spirit, and that you teach effectively with the 3 things that I talked about: repetition, asking questions, and making sure that the students apply what they learn. Thanks for listening.